Imagine landing in Italy and dropping 6 goals on Atalanta in 90 minutes. Next week, they hang 4 more on them at home. 10 goals in one knockout round isn't just a win. It's a warning. How is Bayern Munich pulling this off? And why does every opponent look totally helpless to stop them? I went deep to find out how Bayern became the most lethal, well-oiled machine the Champions League has seen in years. To grasp what Bayern is doing right now, you have to see where they started. It wasn't pretty. 2 seasons ago, this club was spiraling through a massive identity crisis. The chaotic final days of Nagelsmann, the messy arrival of Tuchel, and a revolving door of managers that made the front office look like a broken coaching carousel. For the first time over a decade, they watched the Bundesliga trophy slip through their fingers. Doubts about the roster and the philosophy left everyone wondering if the club had lost its soul or just forgotten how to win. The German media was having a field day, tearing the Bavarian giants to shreds. Then they hired Vincent Kompany fresh off a relegation season with Burnley. People didn't just have questions. They were laughings. That was their answer for the bench. But the locker room was just as full of question marks. Harry Kane was already stacking up goals by the dozen in the Bundesliga. But the feeling remained that the squad around him lacked the elite edge to help him dominate Europe. Thomas Muller looked like a legend in his sunset years. Everyone wondered if this squad had the grit to hang with the heavyweights. The answer hit like a freight train on September 30th, 2025. A road trip to Paphos, Cyprus, on paper a total formality. But in the Champions League, those easy games can bite you. Bayern crushed them 5-0, 5 goals on the road to kick off the new league phase. Wasn't just the score, it was how they played, fluid, surgical, and totally connected. They never let up. It was a clear signal that the vibe in Munich had completely shifted. Something was evolving. Or maybe it already had, the world just hadn't caught on yet. And this was no fluke. To a casual fan, it's just a star-studded roster. Kane scores, Musiala breaks ankles, and the rest takes care of itself. But that's a lazy take. It couldn't be further from the truth. Kompany has engineered a system that is disciplined, repeatable, and downright terrifying. They line up in a 4-2-3-1, but the formation is just a suggestion. The real secret is their high-voltage vertical press. This isn't some frantic scramble for the ball. It's a perfectly timed trap. The front 4 suffocate the passing lanes, funneling the opponent toward the sidelines like cattle. Then, the entire unit lunges forward 10 meters to swallow the ball carrier. They force a turnover in the danger zone. And suddenly, they have 4 attackers sitting just 20 meters from your goal. They strike before you can even catch your breath. That high block vertical pressure, that is the new Bayern. Remember that phrase? Because you'll see it every single match. And here's the guy flying under the radar. Alexander Pavlovic. This 20-year-old homegrown talent is Bavarian through and through. He was a ghost on the international stage 2 years ago, but now he's the heartbeat of this entire pressing scheme. He's the trigger, he plugs the holes, covers the middle, and cleans up the mess if the trap fails. Without Pavlovic, this aggressive system falls apart like a house of cards. With him, it's a guillotine. Look at the stats. 19 goals in 8 games. That's an average of over 3 goals per match in the world's toughest tournament. It's insane. I love this game. But the real shocker, they only allowed more than 1 goal in a single match. Arsenal hung 3 on them on November 26th, but that reality check was exactly what they needed to sharpen their edges. Go through the tape against Paphos. That trap was working from minute 1. 5 goals later, the opposition couldn't even cross the halfway line. Then came the 4-0 demolition of Brugge. It took 12 minutes for the trap to spring against Brugge, and they never let go. Then came the real test, a 2-1 win over Pask. Bayern showed restraint, baiting PSG into pushing high, then gutted them twice in 3 minutes when they tried to play the offside trap. When they execute like that, there is absolutely no defense in the world that can stop them. This wasn't a fluke. Kompany spent months molding this machine. A squad that can suffocate you or sit back, morphing for any opponent without losing their edge. In the Champions League, that is the ultimate needle to thread, the smoking gun. The performance that kills every counter-argument was that 2-game demolition of Atalanta, March 10th and 18th, 2026, Game 1 in Bergamo. They dropped a 6-piece on the Europa League champs in one of the most hostile stadiums in Europe. But that lone goal they allowed, that is what actually shook me. Bayern gives up 1. And instead of coasting, they go for the throat. They tacked on 2 more in the final 20 minutes just because they could. They do not just win, they destroy. No mercy, no clock killing. Just a constant, relentless hunt for the next score. The return leg in Munich was a 4-1 clinic. That is a 10-2 aggregate slaughter. 10 goals in 2 knockout games. 2. That is the most terrifying stat in European football right now. Bayern has torched the net more than any team in history since the Champions League expanded its format. No squad has ever punched a ticket to the quarterfinals with that kind of firepower. Not one, but the quarters are where the real drama starts. And get this, I have some inside dirt from my neighbor, who claims he knows a guy deep inside the Munich camp. That Kompany was grinding film before the Atalanta rematch, stumbled on a Quinteleco video about vertical pressing, and hit that subscribe button instantly. He looks at his assistant and barks, "Blast this in the locker room before kickoff." They went out and hung 4. Maybe it is luck, maybe it is not. I am just the messenger. This Bayern squad is the most lethal, complete unit in the world right now. No debate, no fine print, no excuses. Harry Kane is playing like the Champions League personally owes him a debt, and he is here to collect. Olise and Díaz are pure nightmares for defenders, and Kompany has built a system that breaks any opponent, on any turf. Regardless of the scoreboard, if they want that trophy, they have to go through the Kings, Real Madrid. There is something special about this team that transcends the box score. Kompany walked into Munich with an empty trophy case and a mountain of skepticism. The media was sharpening their knives, comparing him to every legendary ghost that ever paced that sideline. But he did not try to fit their mold. He doubled down on the vision in his head, his own system, that relentless high press, Pavlovic anchoring the middle. That is his signature on the game, and that reveals a truth that goes way beyond the pitch. You only achieve greatness when you stop trying to be a sequel and start being the original. Every coach who craters at a powerhouse club makes the same mistake. They try to be what people expect. Kompany flipped the script, and now Bayern is a wrecking ball. I do not know if they will lift the trophy, but when a team plays with this much soul, and the players are ready to run through a wall for their leader, you are witnessing something legendary. You are watching a man build a legacy from scratch,